Hey, how's it going, everybody? It is Josh Thomas here from the BitBlock, and today we are going to be talking about E3 2017. That is right, we can officially say that next month is E3, and I cannot think of anybody better to join me in this wonderful conversation than RogersBase himself.
Wow, well, thank you so much for having me on, despite the fact that I took a video in front of Trump Tower wearing a Bill Clinton inauguration sweater, and everybody online thought we just hated each other and are no longer best friends because of that. You know why? Because people online are small-minded and can't believe that two people with different political views can actually come together to talk about Nintendo and Disney because they like it so much and because they enjoy each other's company so much. Can you believe that, Josh? Can you believe how stupid people on the internet are?
Roger, we are the future, you and I. We are a perfect example of what people should be, and I've said this for quite a while now.
It's true. I voted Clinton. You voted Trump. Together, we still don't give a
crap about anything. Roger and I are actually in talks with ABC to do a sitcom based on a Trump voter living with a Hillary Clinton voter. And nothing happens because we don't really care either way, so it's a very uneventful TV show.
It's the Odd Couple for 2017.
For modern times. So, like I said, E3 is coming up, and this is always a very exciting time. And Nintendo has already said that we should be ready for big things this E3. Reggie himself said that there's going to be a lot of games, which is promising, I hope, you know. They talked about how they're going to have 3DS games and Switch games. I know what you're thinking. What's a Nintendo 3DS? Well, back in the old days, there was this handheld device, Roger, that only played handheld games, and you couldn't play it on your TV. Can you imagine such a simple device?
Yeah, you know, I like my Switch now. I don't think about the olden days. I like my Switch. I actually just brought from home to LA my old Nintendo 64, and I hooked that up.
I saw that.
That's amazing. I love playing my N64, but all the systems, other than the GameCube's still back at home in Chicago, but all the systems in between N64 and Switch now are irrelevant to me. I got my N64 as my retro system, I got my Switch as my new system, and then I've got my 3DS. I still love my 3DS. But that's enough for me.
So, yeah, it's very quickly, though. 3DS games, right? They're probably going to show some 3DS games. You want to just get that out of the way and talk about what we think they might show? When does that Pikmin game come out? July? They'll probably show that.
They'll probably show that a little bit. Yeah, I guess that does come out in July. Beyond that, maybe we'll end up seeing what that multiplayer Kirby game is. I heard a horrible rumor that I hope is not true, and I think it would make both of us extraordinarily upset if this is true. But the rumor I heard is that that multiplayer game that is on 3DS is actually a standalone city trial for 3DS, like City Trial from Kirby Air Ride. But it's on 3DS. It's not on Switch. And that would make me really, really angry if they finally decided to do a successor to City Trial and they put it on the system that I don't want to play anymore. If we're going to get anything City Trial related or Kirby Air Ride 2 related, I would much rather have it on the Switch.
Yeah. I mean, we both have said many times how much we love Kirby Air Ride and the City Trial mode and all that. But they said it was going to be a multiplayer action game, so I don't know if I would qualify City Trial as being an action.
I think it's multiplayer action. You're running into the carts with each other and throwing bombs at each other, and there's all the little things that happen in the city, like Dynablade coming down. It feels pretty action-oriented to me. As much as you can be an action-oriented game, you know, while you're riding on the back of a Warp Star.
That would suck, though, because I play Kirby Air Ride with friends to this day. It's like one of our go-to games when we get together, and I cannot see us playing a version on the 3DS together. That just isn't going to happen. So that would be kind of a total waste of development, in my opinion.
I actually have another prediction in terms of 3DS that I think is a very bold prediction that maybe not a lot of people are going to agree with me on, but I think you and I both agree on the first bit, though, which is that rumored Pokemon Stars game is almost definitely true.
But that's Switch. Though,
well,
right?
that's my bold prediction. So I think now that they announced this new Nintendo DS XL thing, Nintendo 2DS XL thing, I think it's going to be a cross-release on both Switch, like as a console game, you could play it on home consoles, and also on the new Nintendo 3DS, and it'll be playable on both the new Nintendo 3DS XL and the new Nintendo 2DS XL. And I think it's going to be a new system exclusive, because Sun and Moon were not. And I think the extra processing power will go towards putting that on the new, whatever the handheld system is, but it will also be released on the Switch. So if you want to play it as a home console experience, they'll release it there. Because I think it's too early for them to officially release a new Pokemon console generation. I mean, new like it's not a console generation, but a new generation of Pokemon. I think it's too early considering Sun and Moon was last year, and I don't think they're going to want to make the new generation cross-platform. So I think since this is the last big year for 3DS, they're going to want to make the third version of Sun and Moon, which I'm dubbing Stars and which everyone else is calling Stars. I think they're going to put that on both new Nintendo 3DS and 2DS and also on Switch, and that'll probably come out at the same time. But the people who really want to play it in HD and play it on a home console, they can get it for the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And I also want to say, I think this will be announced before E3 sometime this month in May.
Okay. See, the thing is, the only thing that I think would be silly about doing that is it would probably be great to make it exclusive to the Switch, which gives so many people a reason to buy a Switch. You know what I mean? Like if it's exclusive to that.
My argument for that would be there were all those people who had a Wii U and they came out with Breath of the Wild, and so many people bought Breath of the Wild on Switch and not on Wii U. I mean, look, the Breath of the Wild Switch version outsold the Switch itself. So many people wanted Zelda on Switch. This is true. This is a true statistic. The Breath of the Wild for Switch sold 100.7% of what the Switch itself sold. So there are more people out there with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for Switch than Switch systems.
So basically they said, I can't find a Switch yet, but I'm going to buy a game before I can get the system.
Right. And where
I think waiting.
Right. And where I think this ties in with Pokemon is I think a lot of people will go, okay, well, I have my old system and I can play Pokemon Stars on this, but like, this is a home console Pokemon game. When people hear that there's a home console Pokemon game coming to Switch, they're not really going to be thinking of the inferior version. Because remember, that Fire Emblem Warriors game that's coming to Switch too, that's also coming to new Nintendo 3DS. So this wouldn't be a shock for them to do cross-platform for Switch and Nintendo 3DS. They've done this already. They've already announced that with Fire Emblem, and I think that'll happen again with whatever the third version of Pokemon Sun and Moon is, and then maybe they'll officially sometime next year make the full jump to Switch exclusivity by announcing like a Diamond and Pearl remake and then eventually the next generation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But just in terms of the next month, I think probably by the end of May we're going to know whatever the next Pokemon game is, whether or not that is Stars or it's something else, and I do think it's going to be cross-platform on both 3DS, new Nintendo 3DS, and Switch.
Okay. Do you think they're going to focus much on 3DS games? Like, do you think we'll see any big main Nintendo games for the 3DS announced at E3?
Not beyond what was announced like 2 weeks ago in that Direct. I think that's pretty much it. And beyond Pokemon and Fire Emblem, which are both, well, I'm assuming Pokemon is, but Fire Emblem's confirmed to be coming to it. No, I don't think we're going to see anything else.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I hope not. I really do feel like, don't put any big, interesting ideas in development for the 3DS Nintendo. I understand that it's like, oh, there's 100 million 3DS systems out there. Why wouldn't you develop for it? Because it's time. It's over now. It's time to move on.
I mean, I love the 3DS. I think it's one of the best systems Nintendo's ever made. But it's done now. Let's move on to the Switch. I think like the reason they hyped up like, oh, this year's still going to be good for 3DS is because they weren't sure Switch was going to be a success. And now it's very clear that Switch is a massive success, so they don't need to worry about that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's. I think we'll get probably about another year of some mildly entertaining 3DS games, then they'll move on.
Yep.
But E3, I don't think is going to be big for 3DS. I do think it'll be big for the Switch. But before we get into talking about our Switch game predictions, I do want to say this: it is a bit strange that this is going up on May 1st, and we have not heard from Nintendo officially what their plans for E3 are. And don't we usually know by now? Don't you usually say it in like April?
No. I think it usually happens like 3 weeks or 2 weeks before the show.
Does it?
Mm-hmm.
Like when they did that Mega 64 thing, that was like 3 weeks before the show?
I mean, I could look this up live right now. Let's see.
Okay. Yeah, and they also did they announced that they were going to do that Nintendo tournament thing that they had. What was it? The Nintendo Championship
thing, yeah. Let me look. Okay, Nintendo E3 2016 reveals E3 plans. I found the video right now. No digital event. This was on May 5th. So actually, we are getting close. Yeah, I mean, maybe the end of next week. Actually, no, we're starting a new week. It could be this week. It could be Friday of this week. We might get information on what their E3 plans are. It could be
today when this goes up and we'll look like a bunch of dummies.
Oh, that would suck. That would really suck. Well, I think they already announced, though, that they're not having a live press conference.
They did, yeah.
And I think that would just makes sense that they would have a Direct and they would have Treehouse Live. It's been doing well for them past couple of years. Why change what's working, you know?
Do you think they'll do some sort of on-stage thing where people can go and watch and play some sort of game competition? They did it for Smash.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be cool if they brought back the Nintendo World Championships. That was a lot of fun last year. Was that last year? I was going to say, was that last year or 2 years ago?
I think it was 2 years ago.
That was, yeah, because last year was the Breath of the Wild year. So, yeah, it was 2 years ago.
They didn't do anything last year, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get into talking about the Nintendo Switch and what kind of stuff we think they're going to talk about. You want to just rotate? We'll each say a game and
sounds good.
Back and forth.
We'll just do it until we run out of games. You want me to start?
You start.
I feel like I've been talking. I'm starting. Jeez, I feel like I've been talking. All right, you got it. This is annoying.
New record.
All right, you got to stop. Are you done?
Yeah, that's everything she says.
All right, good. So the first thing is very obvious. I thought maybe this wasn't real. I thought maybe someone somewhere saw those bunnies in the Mario Odyssey trailer and was like, are those the rabbits? But I think we are going to see Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle for sure at E3. I think it's coming out this fall, and I don't think it's going to be an enormous focus of the show, but I think it's going to get more playtime during whatever that Direct or Treehouse thing they do is than you're expecting.
I'm going to be very bold here.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that this game does not exist.
I think
you will not see it because it doesn't exist.
I think you're totally wrong, only due to the fact I wouldn't have said that 2 days ago, but I'm saying it now because the engine that the game is running on has apparently leaked, and it's called the Snowdrop engine, and Ubisoft has used it for other games before, the South Park game, and for The Division as well. So they're using an engine they've already developed to make this game. And that's a very specific, weird thing to come out about this, on top of all the other details that Emily Rogers was talking about. And we've been hearing about this since prior to the official reveal of the Switch back in January. So, yeah, it was revealed in September last year, but the big show where we expected the games to be announced, that was January. And, yeah.
I'm going to remain very stubborn and say this isn't real, and I think somebody might have seen the Rabbids in the Odyssey trailer and thought those were Rabbids and not for a Mario game.
All right. That is bold.
I think it's a very weird... It is a very weird thing, though. Does this have a market? Because the Rabbids' time is kind of over. I mean, I loved the Rabbids back in the day, but nobody's really thinking about the Rabbids anymore.
No, but you got to remember, Ubisoft has always been one to release a big game in the first year of Nintendo systems. They did this with Red Steel. They did this with Zombie U. We haven't seen it at launch yet. I mean, technically you could say Just Dance, but Just Dance isn't that type of game. It's Just Dance. It's not like an actual game. And I know I'm probably going to trigger some people by saying that, but whatever.
I'm triggered right now.
But no, I do think Rabbids is their big first testing the water Switch game, and I do 100% think this is real, because even the guy who's the head producer of the Rabbids games put a picture up on Instagram with a Mario and Luigi hat behind him holding a plunger, so it just seems really obvious to me. Yeah.
What? Oh, now I might be changing my prediction.
yeah. I will say this, we forgot something earlier. There was that rumor that came out a little while ago that there's going to be a remaster of Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga on 3DS. Mm-hmm. Did you hear about this?
Vaguely.
Okay, I think that's going to happen, and I think that's probably an E3 announcement.
Why not do a new Mario and Luigi game?
Because they're probably developing a new one for Switch right now, and they want to get a Mario and Luigi game out this year for 3DS, and so they'll just remaster another one.
Wait, it's for the 3DS?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, well, that's stupid. I don't really care about that, then. Why would you? I don't know. Okay, whatever. I mean, actually... that's fine, because it's not a game I'd want to play anyway, so put it on the 3DS.
I would actually a remake of that game with HD graphics on Switch would actually be really cool to me. But, yeah, I think it's supposed to be on 3DS, so.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I'll go ahead and say one. You said the Rabbids thing. I'm curious, though. If it is real, I'm not going to be disappointed. I'm not hating on it. I actually am a pretty big supporter of the Rabbids. That Rabbids Go Home game is, super unappreciated on the Wii. I love that game. And the minigame compilations I even liked. Up until the Wii U game, which was Rabbids Land or something. That was awful. But yeah, it'll be definitely a weird combo. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am going to say let's talk about a little bit about Pikmin. I don't think Pikmin 3DS could possibly be the Pikmin game that Nintendo's been working on. I'm fairly certain that Mr. Miyamoto mentioned that the Pikmin team specifically, is working on a new Pikmin game. Hey Pikmin is developed by the studio that made Yoshi's New Island for the 3DS. So that's not the Pikmin team. I also don't think Mr. Miyamoto would like tease that game. I don't really think that's the type of game you tease people about. So I think we're going to see a new Pikmin game for the Switch. I think it was probably going to come to the Wii U, but the Wii U was a failure, so they decided not to put it on it, and they held off until the Switch. And so I think, and Mr. Miyamoto even said they are still developing Pikmin, but they just put it aside for bigger games, for like more important games. So yeah. Again, that suggests that Hey Pikmin is not the Pikmin game he's referring to. So I think we're going to see that at E3, and I'm incredibly anxious and nervous and excited. I worry that it could potentially be given the Star Fox Zero treatment, where it's a bit dumbed down and it's like back to basics sort of a deal. Because wasn't there rumors going on that Pikmin is going to get a reboot or something? Mr. Miyamoto wants to reboot the series. Please no. Pikmin 3 and Pikmin 2 are such good games. Oh, right. You don't have to mess with perfection. Just keep doing the same thing. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, and again, this is just speculation. Of course, we don't have any confirmation. Right. This could be a very, but I really hope they don't go back to like the basics. Like, oh, this is the red Pikmin, the blue Pikmin, and the yellow Pikmin. And then like, I just don't want it to be oversimplified because they're trying to reach a new audience with Pikmin. I know that Nintendo and Mr. Miyamoto especially really want Pikmin to be bigger than it is. And me too. But I just don't think the way to do that is to alienate the audience that's been there all along by just making it really simplified and bringing it back to its roots, pardon the pun. I can see it already, though. I can already see the email around E3 time from Nintendo's PR like, Pikmin returns to its roots. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that to happen. So there's been so much evolution in the series that I really hope they continue down that path, because I adore Pikmin. But I don't know, I trust Miyamoto. Mr. Miyamoto is very heavily involved with Super Mario Odyssey, and it's actually the most involved he's been with a Mario game for a while. So that says to me that this boy still got it. And I hope he shows it in the next Pikmin game. But I think it's happening for the Switch. I think we'll see it at E3.
I agree with you, and I also trust Miyamoto with the Pikmin franchise. I don't trust him with Star Fox anymore. But I think he has done no wrong with the Pikmin franchise, so I still totally trust. If they just want to put Miyamoto in a corner and develop Pikmin games for the rest of his time at Nintendo, I would be fine with that.
Yeah, I would as well. I feel like isn't it kind of hard to mess up Pikmin? Yeah. You know, like, how do you mess it up? You have gorgeous environments, you have little cute Pikmin, you kill the enemies, bring them back to your base, all that. But then again, I might have said that it's hard to mess up Star Fox as well. And they proved me wrong. Yeah. Star Fox seems like, how do you mess that up? You just shoot at things, but I don't know.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, I mean, I have faith in it, and I do think that it's funny, because that's like one of the oldest Switch games that we know of, because at the time we were like Pikmin NX, right? And it was such an early announced game that it's amazing we haven't seen it yet. So I'm hoping that we finally get to see that at E3, and I'll be very excited. Oh, really quickly, though, I do have to say this. I don't really care what they do with it as long as they keep multiplayer in it. That has become such an important aspect to the series. Having a new Pikmin game that's like, oh, we didn't really do multiplayer this time. We just focused on the single player. That would be devastating to me, because to this day, I still play the bingo battle, and we had so much fun playing all the challenge stuff and perfecting it. A Pikmin game with no multiplayer or little bits of multiplayer would not be a very good Pikmin game. So, like, get some 4-player online stuff going. That would be amazing. There's a lot of room to grow there.
I don't necessarily think there'll be 4-player, but I do think at the very least we're going to get 2-player because, I mean, we have the 2 Joy-Cons. It just makes sense that, like, of course you would have a multi-local player. I mean, multi-local player? Local multiplayer experience with Pikmin. Yeah, I think it just makes sense having the 2 Joy-Cons already attached to the system, so...
I also think that this would be the first time, just really quickly, this would be the first time that Pikmin got to be on a successful video game console, other than the 3DS, but it's not really a Pikmin game. So that'll be exciting for it.
I mean, I would argue the GameCube was successful enough. So
not financially, really.
Really?
I mean, Mr. Iwata was on record as saying that they considered the GameCube to be a failure.
Well, I love the GameCube. It's more of a cult
classic. Oh, me too. But it's more
GameCube,
like
if the GameCube is listening to this, cover your ears, GameCube. I love you.
Why cover your ears?
Well, because like he doesn't need to hear that he's a failure. He's a winner in my book.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant cover your ears. Or
she.
Said, I love you.
Or she. The GameCube is gender fluid. Who doesn't matter. I don't want to get hate comments.
Listen, I agree with you. The GameCube is my favorite era of Nintendo, but Pikmin I mean, Switch is more popular than the GameCube was.
What gender would the orange GameCube be and the purple GameCube?
The orange GameCube would be male. The purple would be, I think, female.
What would the black one be?
Female, I think.
Okay, and then what would
the silver would be male.
Okay, cool.
I once had. Did you ever have the Spice Orange GameCube? It's amazing.
No, it looks disgusting to me. I had the black one, and I'm very happy with it.
You never had the indigo purple one?
Ugh, no. Yeah.
Oh my god! And you claim to be a GameCube fan.
Well, I love I am a GameCube. I love the neon Joy-Cons. I just don't like the purple GameCube.
That's what it's all about, my man.
Nah, black GameCube is where it's at.
Okay. So it's nice, your pick. I said pick.
Sexy black female GameCube.
No, I think the Spice Orange is the most erotic. That thing, you know what? I imported that when I played Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door on the summer that it came out in Japan, and oh my god, it's just such a perfect thing.
You know, we were just talking about this and liking the color black, and this goes right into my next prediction, because this group of boys also likes the color black, and that is the cast of Final Fantasy 15. I think we are going to be seeing a port of Final Fantasy 15 announced at E3, along with some type of promise, maybe not a trailer, but some type of promise that future mainline Final Fantasy games are returning to Nintendo systems. I know this is bold, but I think they cannot announce, like, hey, we're going to bring a remake of Final Fantasy to Switch, like the remake of Final Fantasy VII. I don't think they can announce that until they sort of like officially bring back the series to Nintendo platforms, because we've had Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, which I love, but we have not had the mainline series, and that was something that a lot of people were asking for, along with Kingdom Hearts. And I feel like Kingdom Hearts is a really, really technical game, and I don't think that's going to be on anything other than PS4, and I think we might even see like a teaser of that at E3. But I think Final Fantasy, they could potentially bring over to Switch, especially if the Final Fantasy VII Remake is in parts, because they said that it's going to be episodic. And so I think that could make sense for the Switch. I don't think it would be that much of a technical jump for them to bring it over, especially if it's running on the same engine that 15 is, and if they're able to successfully port over 15, which has already done well, and a lot of people are saying it's the best Final Fantasy game in years. I could see them porting that over, testing the waters, and then bringing over the 7 Remake, which would make a lot of sense considering the fact that Cloud is in Smash Brothers now.
Is this the game where all the boys drive around in a car?
Yep, sure is, and I love it.
That could run on the Switch?
I think so. Yeah, I think it could run on the Switch.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish I could comment. I have no idea what the Final Fantasy series is.
I actually think the game would be better on Switch too if they have it on a cartridge with like less load times, because that was a big issue with that game, were the load times. And yeah, if they have like an Ultimate Edition with the DLC coming to Switch, like that would be really cool, because they're currently releasing episodic content for that. They have like the Gladio DLC just came out. There's going to be Prompto DLC later in the year, and then an Ignis DLC pack. And I think, yeah, if they release like an ultimate or deluxe version of something, you know, with like Final Fantasy 15, and they bring it to Switch, it might be cool. And I think it would sell a lot of copies, and you'd get a lot of Nintendo fans who haven't touched the franchise in a really long time interested in it again. And again, I think it's a great game for the system and to sort of reintroduce new people to it, because when you first turn on Final Fantasy 15, the message says a Final Fantasy for classic and new players alike. Like, that's the first thing that comes on screen every time you boot up Final Fantasy 15. So they're really trying to get like a wide mainstream audience, and I think that would be the best way to do it, would be to bring it onto a successful Nintendo system.
Okay. Makes sense to me.
All right, good.
I imagine
I'm glad you're not fighting me on this.
All I know about that is boys driving around in a car in black clothing.
That's right. It's a good game,
Is that about it?
And the music is amazing. The music's like the best soundtrack in years.
Why are they driving in a car? What is the deal with that?
Just play the game.
Why is it all modernized?
Just
I don't
play
understand.
the game.
I thought Final Fantasy was like...
What's your next game prediction, Josh? We're getting off topic.
No, that was your guess. My next game prediction is actually... I think we're going to finally see what Retro Studios has been up to. It's way past time. I mean, good lord. What did they make? Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which was a sequel to a game that they already pretty much designed and probably used a lot of what they did in the Wii game as far as like programming and stuff. So I think Retro Studios is going to finally show their game, and I am going to say that it's going to be a Metroid game. I know a lot of people are like, oh, they should do Ice Climbers, they should do this, they should do that. I think they will
first
be like,
off, clarify. Nobody said, Oh, I sure hope that Retro's making Ice Climbers. I had to catch you on that. You thought that was just going to slip by me after you just said that, a Retro-developed Metroid game is coming at E3? You got another thing coming, Josh.
Listen here. Well, anyway. I do think it's going to be Metroid, though, and I think, like, part of the talk around E3 is going to be like, wow, Retro is back in the saddle with Metroid. It's back to where it belongs. Yay, Retro's taking care of Metroid again after all those Federation forces and other M's. It's finally back to where it belongs. I think it will be... you know what? I would not be surprised if it is and I don't know if I like saying this, but it may be a 2D platforming game, like 2D Metroid.
Oh, my God. Oh my! See,
I wouldn't love that. I wouldn't like that. But I think if they kind of took like the amazing level design they did for the Donkey Kong Country series, and they put that into the Metroid world, that might be pretty cool. And then maybe have some sort of feature where you can look at the worlds in a first-person view, in some points or something.
No, I don't want if they're gonna do first person, I want a new Metroid Prime. If they're gonna do 2D, go all out 2D, make it like Super Metroid. Don't do the other M thing where they switch.
So my problem with the 2D thing though is, for me, Metroid's worlds are so intricate and so detailed, especially when Retro Studios works on them, and being able to just like really feel the atmosphere of that and really feel like you're exploring these worlds.
I would argue that you could feel that when you play Super Metroid. I think that's one of the big reasons why Super Metroid to this day is still so good. You
ready for me to say the most offensive thing I've ever said in my life?
I'm serious. If you say anything bad about Super Metroid,
Super Metroid is overhyped garbage, and Metroid Prime killed it.
I'm out. I'm serious.
There's no need.
You think I'm kidding? I'm not right now.
It's so overhyped, man. I played it after playing the original Metroid Prime on GameCube, and I was like, oh, this is just Metroid Prime, but crappy pixel art in a 2D setting. And the music is bad. Well, listen, the more silent you are, the more I get to talk about how disappointing Super Metroid is. So I'll just take that.
Are you done?
I mean, I'll just make a video about it instead.
See, and you wonder why people hate you, man.
They love me. They love to hate me. No, but seriously though, it's not as good as Metroid Prime. Like I swear, Metroid Prime is so much better. Than
I love Metroid. They're very difficult.
I want you to say that. I want you to say they're different. They're the same thing. Metroid Prime is literally Super Metroid, but in a beautiful 3D environment.
No, we're gonna agree to disagree, and I'm not gonna pick of my two favorite children. But
basically, I'm going to say Retro Studios game.
Super Metroid or Metroid Prime. I love them both.
Okay, I'm going to take the Super Metroid child that you had. I'm going to throw it out a window.
I mean, I'm still okay with it. I'm not going to complain. So long as it's like a real Metroid. I don't like Federation Force. Both of us actually liked more than I think the majority of people liked that game.
No. Actually, the Blast Ball thing was fun at E3, but I think the final game was terrible.
You didn't like the final? I thought it was actually better than people were saying it was. It was fun playing.
It was like chibi Metroid. The end has you like killing Samus.
I mean, regardless, like, I don't want because I don't want this to be taken out of context. I don't want a Federation Force sequel on Switch. I don't want a Federation Force Prime, like a new Metroid Prime, or I want a Super Metroid-esque 2D game. But I really think like with the HD hardware, they could just really go balls to the wall crazy with the atmosphere if they do. Oh 2D.
God, yes.
And I kind of want them to save Metroid Prime for like if they ever do VR on Switch.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, VR is the first... When I think of VR on Switch, I definitely think Metroid. What if we say that at E3, though? What if you're like, hey, by the way, we're doing VR, and boom, here's Metroid?
No, I think VR is another couple years off, I think, for Switch, if they're going to do it.
I don't know how they're going to do it appropriately, though, because that screen is not high enough resolution to really work with VR.
Yeah,
I mean, it'll work with VR, but it won't be as good. Anyways, I'm going to say retro game. It's going to be Metroid-related. It could be 2D or 3D. I don't know, but I think Metroid retro game.
I would be very, very happy, Josh.
So would I. Would I. Okay, it's your pick.
Okay. I also think Retro's game is going to be there, but I don't think it's going to be a Metroid, and I don't think it's going to be a Donkey Kong. I think it's going to be a new IP, because there was recently a statement that was made saying that there are going to be new IPs coming to the Switch and that they're testing the waters, and I think that is going to be one of those games. I think whatever Retro is working on is something brand new. I don't think it's a revival of anything. I don't think it's Donkey Kong or Metroid. I don't want it to be Donkey Kong. I will say that right now. I I actually think both the Donkey Kong games they made were fantastic, but I just genuinely don't want another Donkey Kong right now. But I do think it's going to be a new IP, and I think we're going to see it at E3, and I think it might even have a release date for this holiday. I think it might be something that's coming out sooner than we think.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree that the retro game would be holiday. Yeah. When did Tropical Freeze come out? 2013, 2014?
Yeah, and I think it was like February or March, right?
Yeah, it was like, towards the end of winter or middle of winter.
Here's a prediction I'll make.
Okay.
To go along with that. I think Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is already announced, I think it is going to hit 2017, but I think it's going to hit 2017 in Japan. And I think in its place in America, we're going to get the retro game. And then I think in February of the next year, Japan will get the retro game and we'll get Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Well, here's a question for you about Retro Studios. Several years ago, Mr. Miyamoto in an interview said that he believes Retro Studios is going to be large enough to work on more than one project at once. And they certainly are large enough to be doing that, and they're definitely talented enough to be doing that. They did hire a whole bunch of new people.
They did.
Is it possible Retro Studios is actually making more than one game?
That would be the only situation in which I would be okay with them making Donkey Kong next. That would be the only way, is if there were two teams and they were working on separate games. That would be the only way I'd be okay with it.
I don't think you need to worry about another side-scrolling Donkey Kong game. If they are doing something with Donkey Kong, it's not going to be another Donkey Kong Country
Could you imagine
game.
could you imagine if they made like a Donkey Kong 64-esque open world?
3D open world Donkey Kong. The problem with that is they might feel that it competes with Mario Odyssey, and Mario Odyssey is obviously a bigger IP.
Yeah.
In a way. Is it though? Maybe Donkey Kong. I think Donkey Kong is just as well known as Mario. Though.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they're going to release two
of the similar games. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, Rareware made so many games at once. Like, they were working on multiple games, and they're about the size of Retro Studios, I believe. So it'd be interesting to see if Retro is final. Because I think Retro Studios is actually my favorite developer. I think both the Donkey Kong Country games are fantastic.
And the Prime games, yeah.
And the Prime games are amazing. Yeah, like, just the level of detail in their games is great. So I'd love to see it.
Cool.
All right, that was your guess then?
Yeah, I'm glad we both agree that Retro's going to be there. Because I know, I feel like we've been saying it every year, but I genuinely, thoroughly believe we will see it this year.
I would be absolutely stunned if we do not hear from Retro. I'd be worried because it's like, wow, is there some like internal problems happening at Retro? Because this isn't right. This is weird.
I agree. I think if we don't hear from them, there is a problem.
There's some kind of problem. I know that I can definitely see where you're coming from though with the new IP, because I know that people who have worked at Retro definitely longed to work on something that wasn't necessarily an already established Nintendo character. So I think that could be a possibility for sure.
Yeah.
Back in the GameCube days, before they put them to work on Metroid Prime, they were making some other kind of game where you were like in a temple and it was like a sword fighting game or something.
Ravenblade, I think was the name of it.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah. So I mean, they're capable of it. So we'll see.
Look at that. I know my Nintendo history. I was like 11 when that game was first announced, and I still remember Ravenblade.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it too. I just remember it was like a temple Aztec type setting or something going on.
The game involved a sword of legend named the Ravenblade that was given to a man who would destroy all the evil in the world. Other than that, not much is known about the plot of the game, other than the antagonist being named the Beast Lord. That was taken off Fandom Wiki for Nintendo on the Ravenblade page. Look at that.
There you go. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to make something that's a little bit of a smaller prediction, not necessarily an exciting prediction, but I do think that they will quickly talk about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, how it's doing so well, and blah, 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 and hey, now we're going to give you our first look at the DLC that's coming this summer, and I think they'll also show the dungeon stuff that's coming in the winter, potentially, but I think we will at least hear about the summer DLC for Breath of the Wild very quickly, and they'll talk sales, or they'll just talk about how great it's been and stuff. They might save the winter DLC for like a later direct in October, but they might just go all out and be like, hey, here's all the DLC, what it looks like, blah, 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 there you go. So DLC Zelda, I think they'll talk a little bit about that. Thoughts?
Yeah. In fact, jumping off of that, I'll jump into my pick because it's right along the same vein. I think we're going to see DLC announced for Mario Kart.
Really?
Yes. I think a lot of people are going to see Mario Kart 8 being a huge success and them going, okay, well, now that they've sort of ported over 8, it's doing really well. Let's, have them work on 9. And I don't think Mario Kart is a franchise that there needs to be 2 of on one system. And Deluxe has so much content that I think it would kind of be a waste to just throw it out the window and they'd be like, oh, here's a new one. Excuse me. And I think if there's anything, we could get new battle mode maps, because that's something people are kind of complaining that there's only like 8 tracks, whereas there's like so many main cups in the game. So I think we might actually see battle mode DLC announced at E3, in addition to like maybe some new other characters as well.
So I would like that. You know what? It's funny because a lot of people are like, why aren't there more new tracks? I kind of feel like there's a lot of tracks in this game. And
I
yeah,
agree
sure,
with
maybe.
You. Yeah.
I don't think this game needs more tracks personally, just because there's so many. It's like over 40. But I do think more battle maps would be fantastic, because while I love all of them, I really don't think any of the battle maps are bad. Like there's a couple that I'm like, like the battle stadium, I'm kind of like, although that is good in the coin runners mode. But yeah, I do feel like if we could get double this amount of battle maps, that would be phenomenal. And I'd happily pay $10 to $15 or whatever for them.
And I could easily see them announcing that and being like, oh, and this will come out, probably like one burst in like November. They'll announce 4 and then like another 4 for next year or something.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I think Mario Kart is like such a successful franchise for them, and I think it's far too early to even think about a new Mario Kart. And I really honestly don't think there's going to be a Mario Kart 9 on the Switch. I think this is the Switch's Mario Kart, just because it's so good. And I mean, it just came out and everybody loves it. And the battle mode's great, and I feel like they fixed every complaint that people had. I love like the purple sparks and like the new
Well, I've never even been able to use those. What are those?
So it's like an elongated final drifting boost, which is kind of nice.
So you just keep drifting and they eventually show up?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never even seen them.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. But I do think there will be more DLC for Mario Kart, and I do genuinely believe that'll be announced at E3. Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, I hope that's true, because like I said, I love the battle mode. It's amazing. It's everything that I want. I mean, I'm a cynical jerk, as you know, and even true. I'm like, oh, this is good. This is actually really good. In fact, I'm going to be playing it after we're done recording this. Nice. We haven't played it together yet. What's going on? Why haven't we played it together?
Oh, man, I've been so busy with videos. We will play it, though. We got
to do something.
Yeah.
But I'm going to actually contradict that.
Okay.
I'm going to say, I don't think we'll get DLC for this. I think this is kind of just Nintendo wanted to get a Mario Kart on as soon as possible, but I do think after this, the Mario Kart team is going to go into development for a totally built from the ground up Switch version of the game, but I think they're going to go all in on the Nintendo Kart theme. They've definitely toyed around with it a bit here. I think when we see Mario Kart next, it might be like 2020, sometime around when the theme parks are opening, and I think they'll want like some big Nintendo game for the Switch around that time as well. And I think it would be like a Mario Kart Nintendo All-Stars game, and it'll be
you just mean maybe Super Smash Kart is what you mean.
Super Smash Kart. There you go. I think that's where the series goes from here. And then it's like there's a differentiating thing there. You got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is like, the Mario Kart game, but then you have this new Mario Kart sort of thing where it's all of the Nintendo franchises into one. You got Pikmin, Racetracks, and Kirby. And
you've got like Samus's spaceship and the blue. I mean, you have the Blue Falcon in Mario Kart right now.
In it now.
But yeah. But I mean, like you'd have all that stuff in one. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And that would be a way that I think I would be okay with them having a Mario Kart and then like another Mario Kart-esque game, is if they make them very different from each other. But Mario Kart 8 is so good. Like, I can't, it really is the quintessential Mario Kart experience, so.
Yeah, I do, though. I do feel like how do I put this? I'm not saying there wasn't effort put into it, because there was some effort put into it. But I mean, like, as the port doesn't have a ton of effort put into it. It's got a great battle mode, but other than that, it's not like they made a whole new game. So I do feel like it'd be very strange for this very successful Nintendo console, the Switch, to never have its own built from the ground up, completely exclusive Mario Kart-like experience. So I can see that happening, but I think it'll happen in like 3 years, though.
Right, I was going to say, let's clarify, that's not an E3 prediction at all.
No, but I'm just saying, yeah. What was the original prediction that we branched off this far from?
I think there's going to be DLC announced. Yeah, new battle.
Yeah, okay. Yep. So you want to go again, since you just basically said DLC in addition to what I said about Zelda. Did you say you agree the Zelda thing will be shown?
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see DLC for that. Absolutely.
You know what's weird about that, really quick? The Winter DLC has a new dungeon, but to me that's confusing because the game doesn't even have dungeons. So what is this dungeon they're speaking of?
I don't think it's going to be a divine beast. I think it's going to be something where like you go to an area in the game and there's like a time warp or something, and you like experience the dungeon in the past.
I think it'd be really cool to have a kind of traditional, like at least one big traditional Zelda type dungeon in the game.
That'd be cool. You know what I actually think would be kind of neat is if you go to the old ruined Temple of Time and there's like a new memory that unlocks there, and then when you walk into the memory, it like transports you back in time to like the old Temple of Time, and it's actually a giant dungeon, and you're playing in the past. I think that would be really neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see what that's going to be.
Yeah.
But go ahead again, since you just did the DLC thing.
Man, I feel like we're covering a lot. See, the thing about this E3 is there's a lot of stuff they're going to show, naturally. You've got Mario Odyssey, you've got Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but the thing is we know about a lot of this already, so the predictions that we can make, they're all like smaller predictions that branch off of stuff we already know. And I wouldn't complain if we just get a lot of new details and all the stuff we know and a couple of new game announcements. Like, I don't really honestly think this needs to be a giant blowout. I think they have a lot of stuff in the pipeline already for this first year, and Nintendo traditionally has announced stuff like way out from when they release it, but these past 2-3 years, it seems like they're announcing things and then like 3 months later the game comes out. So I'm gonna say this in terms of something we already know about that we don't really know anything about, though we just know that it's coming out, is Fire Emblem, the new from the ground up Fire Emblem game for Switch. I could see them showing the first trailer for that game at E3 and then having sort of a release date for that sometime in summer of next year.
Okay. They showed a Fire Emblem game that was like a Warriors type game, right?
So, yeah, I think that'll obviously be there. That's coming out this year. That's like in September or whenever. Have they announced the date for that? I think it's probably September, October. But I 100% think we're going to see like the new ground up Fire Emblem, traditional strategy Fire Emblem game. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that. That's going to be really interesting to see what that could look like, because there's never been. Oh, there has been a Fire Emblem game on the GameCube.
Yeah, I want it to look like an HD version of what it looks like on the 3DS. Honestly, like I like the look of like the cool little sprites, and then you zoom into like the actual battle scene where you have the 3D models. I think that would look awesome in 3D, and then with the 2D like anime designs for like the critical hits and stuff, I think it looks great. Just hire the guy who did the art for Awakening and Fates and put him on this new game. Make it for Switch. Make it totally new. I'll be fine.
Okay. Actually, you mentioned it a little bit. Let's just go over the stuff that it's like, okay, no kidding, this is going to be at E3 in some form. So we've got Super Mario Odyssey. I think that's going to be a big focus, obviously.
I think that's going to be the main focus. I think that's going to be the main focus.
Right, I think they'll show us new worlds that we haven't seen. They'll show us what the hat is, because they said there's a secret about the hat that could only be done with the Wii Motion Plus controller. Or not Wii Motion Plus, what am I saying?
With the Joy-Cons.
The Rumble Plus, or whatever. It's HD Rumble. They said HD Rumble plays a part in what the hat does, which is really strange to me. I think we'll finally see, they'll finally reveal to us that actually the eyes on the hat is because there's a rabbit in Mario's hat. I think that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But I think that'll be a big focus. They'll also show us, I bet, Splatoon 2. I bet they'll detail some new modes about that. Some information. They will probably very lightly talk about ARMS, maybe even more than that, since it's a new IP and they probably want to get as much attention to that as possible. So I think we'll see new modes and characters from ARMS.
Oh, wait. You said that. I have another prediction of something that we're going to get while you mentioned ARMS.
Okay.
ARMS comes out on the final day of E3. The official release date for ARMS is the final day of E3 this year. Whenever that is, like June 16th or whatever the date is for ARMS. That date is the final day for E3. It's a Friday. I could maybe see them having an ARMS Invitational similar to what they did with Smash Brothers as their stage event. Because we were talking earlier in this about, like, are they going to do a stage show? Are they going to do Nintendo World Championships or, like, a Smash Brothers Invitational? I think maybe they'll have, like, an ARMS Invitational. And that would be a good way to promote the game because it'll come out that week.
Is it big enough, though, to warrant that?
I think they want it to be. Yeah, I think the way that, because they're even like, they're flying out Smash Brothers people to go compete in these invitationals in Japan. They've already had 2 of them. So yeah, I totally think they're trying to make this as big as Smash Brothers and Splatoon. And wait
a minute, they have ARMS Invitationals?
Yes, they already have 2 of them. They've already had 2. D1 is at one this past weekend, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess they could do that.
Yeah, but I think it would be like a big blowout one because America hasn't had one yet. It's only been in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there's, what other games are there that were announced? So there's ARMS, there's Splatoon 2, there's Super Mario Odyssey. Am I missing any games that it's like, okay, that's one we already know about, but it'll be shown there?
I feel like that's pretty much everything. Yeah, and then Xenoblade, obviously. Xenoblade will be there. I really don't think
the Fire Emblem Warriors thing.
I mentioned that.
You think?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's like I said, a September, October, fall type of game.
Okay. Here's something I think they're going to talk about.
Okay.
They'll finally detail the Virtual Console, and I think they'll talk about how GameCube games are coming to the Virtual Console.
I would hope that we get that before E3. Honestly,
I don't think we will. You're saying in a month?
I don't think we will, but I would hope we get that before E3. I don't want that to be an E3 announcement. I want that to just be something they drop randomly, like in some random weekly small direct. Like, I don't want that to be something that they focus on at E3. Like, I'm excited for Virtual Console, and I think GameCube Virtual Console is huge, and I think it would make an enormous splash if they're like, hey, we're bringing Melee to Virtual Console. Like, that would get the Smash Brothers people excited, and I think would maybe I don't know the right way to say, like, satiate them until they get the Smash Brothers game on Switch. But I guess while we're on the topic of Melee and Virtual Console, I've been going back and forth on this, Josh.
You have?
Yeah. I think Smash Brothers will be at E3. But I think...
In what form?
This is what I'm going to tell you. I think if it's a port of Smash 4, like an Ultimate Edition port, I think we'll get the name, I think we'll get everything, and I think it'll be showed off at E3, and it'll be released sometime in March. But the more I think about it, the more I think the Smash game on Switch is not a port. Because if it was, why haven't we already seen that? You know? Like, if it's just all the content from the 3DS and the Wii U and they're porting it into, like, one Ultimate Edition on Switch, why haven't we already seen that? Because that's something that I know a lot of people, just seeing the name and hearing, like, oh, Smash Brothers is coming and it's a deluxe edition, that would get a ton of people to buy the Switch already. And even when the Switch first came out, people were like, oh, I'm waiting for Smash Brothers. And I do feel like Smash Brothers is almost guaranteed to be at E3 in some capacity this year, but in what way? Like I said, I keep going back and forth on it. Part of me thinks it's going to be a deluxe edition port with 3DS and Wii U stuff with a couple new characters, and part of me thinks they're going to announce the title and maybe have like a CG trailer similar to what they did with Brawl the year that the Wii was announced at E3 2006, and then that just basically is the teaser for the eventual Smash game to come for Switch in like 2 years. And I honestly don't know, like, I don't know what I want. Part of me wants... No, but I mean this genuinely, because I love Smash 4, and I think there's still things to, like, discover in that game in terms of, like, techniques, and with the esports community and the FGC, like, Smash 4 is still an exciting game to play. And I think if they just added new characters and new stages to it and brought over all the 3DS stuff, that's a ton of content. And they just, like, keep basically supporting the game with DLC characters whenever they have a new IP or something, that'd be really cool. Like an Overwatch type thing, where they just announce new content and it comes out every month. That'd be awesome. Like a new stage or a new character or whatever. And then part of me wants like a totally new Smash game. So I don't know. What do you think about that, Josh? What do you think? First off, do you think Smash is coming at E3? And two, do you think it's a new game or do you think it's a port?
I think Smash Brothers will be at E3,
okay.
And I think it's going to be a mobile game where you use the touchscreen to fight.
Okay, stop being a troll. What do you actually believe? What do you actually believe it's going to be? A port, or do you think it's going to be?
No, I think because I think about poor Sakurai-san, and I think he's such a lovely man,
right.
And I think I care about his health, and he definitely took some major health issues with Smash 4, so I think it's really weird to imagine a scenario where he's like, yep, all right, let's do that all over again a couple years later.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
No, I
so
totally
agree. I think Nintendo might be like, yeah, but we really want a Smash Brothers on this system. So what if we just did the whole Mario Kart 8 Deluxe type thing where we port it over and we'll have the DLC in there, and then we'll take some stuff from the 3DS game and put that in. I can see that being the more likely scenario, in all honesty.
Yeah.
And then, you could put Inklings in there because everybody wants the Inklings.
Ice Climbers could make their return because now the system's powerful enough. Right.
Bingo. Yeah, I think that would probably that'd do it, I think. That'd be exciting enough to where people are like, oh. And, like the Smash community that plays competitively, I remember, like, when I was at E3, Kobe and other people had, like, they brought, like, their Wii or their GameCube
Yeah,
or
they brought their
the
Wii U with them, and they were playing it in the hotel room.
Right, yeah. So I just feel like, oh, yeah, that'd be good for that kind of, like, competitive community on the Switch. You just take it with you. It's really easy to get the matches going and stuff. So I think having it ported over would be, like port over Smash 4, the 3DS and Wii U. And I think that would be a good route to go.
I think they're in a really good position, too, because of how they named the Wii U and 3DS game, that even if it is just a port with like all these extra features, they could just very easily call it Smash Brothers for Nintendo Switch.
Right, and they could.
They don't have to call it anything else because it was Smash for Wii U, Smash for 3DS. They don't even need like another little goofy name. They could just call it Smash for Nintendo Switch. But here's one thing I really, really want. Outside of even if they bring over all the content and they do all that from the 3DS version, great. And that is a lot of content, because there were a lot of stages there that were not in the Wii U version that would look amazing in HD. Smash Run, like seeing that in HD would be really nice. But I really badly want them to have some type of adventure mode or Subspace Emissary mode in whatever Smash on Switch is. I genuinely miss having the adventure mode from Melee and even Subspace with all those funny little CG cutscenes in Brawl. And that's pretty much the only thing I miss from Brawl is those CG cutscenes in Subspace. So I think maybe an adventure mode type thing where it's not like a full-on, separate one single-player game. Something where it's like you could play through it in an hour and a half or so, like an adventure mode similar to Melee, but it has like cutscenes every stage that are potentially skippable, so you could just like run through it if you want, or you could watch these little cutscenes. That would be kind of nice.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. There isn't really any kind of an adventure thing, is there? Like a single player type deal in Smash 4?
There's not. There's arcade, but like that's in everything. That's not really a full fleshed out single player experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, see, for me, I really think it'd be smart for them to just, build some sort of platform with Smash 4 content, and then in the future going forward, release stuff as DLC and look at Smash as being a platform now, instead of thinking like, oh, let's build a new one from the ground up. I don't really.
I mean, that's the argument I was making with Mario Kart earlier, and that's it's like, and it's become a very popular thing to do now. Like you look at Overwatch. Overwatch is massively successful, and that's what they do. I mean, they release like a new stage or a new character every month, and then the hype goes back to that game, and everyone's playing with that new character, that new stage, or that new mode. Like sometimes they have seasonal things in Overwatch, and I would love that type of experience on Smash on Switch where, it's just like they used Smash 4, which was already so good, as a base with all the content from both systems. And then, maybe they add a couple new characters. Like they come packaged in with new characters like when you buy it. But then every month from there on out, you get like a new stage or a new character or new alternate costumes or some type of like online tournament or something like that,
Yeah, totally. I think we're definitely to the point where Smash Brothers needs to be a platform now instead of just like this game release kind of a deal.
Yeah.
I can see that happening more. But if they wanted to make a totally new Smash Brothers, okay, I'm not going to fight
I'm not fighting it either, exactly. But I do worry about Sakurai's health.
Yeah, I think he needs to work on something that's a little bit more laid back. Maybe something that doesn't have such high expectations and such demanding programming and stuff. He's a very clever guy. He's very, very creative, and I really think that it would be great to see him work on stuff other than Smash Brothers, because I feel like we're missing out on other types of experiences that he could provide.
I was going to save this as my last prediction. I guess this really is my last prediction. I think I've exhausted everything I want to talk to you about, other than like one other thing. But while we're on the topic of Sakurai, this is my bold, out there, crazy prediction that I think we're going to see. I think we are going to see a new Kid Icarus Uprising type game on Switch that has motion control with the Joy-Cons, but is in HD, and it's like basically a sequel to Uprising. And I think that's what because Sakurai, we don't really know what he's been working on other than Smash Brothers, and we know he moved on to a new project. He announced that like as soon as Smash ended, he was like, "Yeah, we're making the DLC, but I'm on a new project now." So I don't think he's working on Smash Brothers. If there is like a Smash Brothers port, maybe he'd be working on that, but I don't think that would be his big project. I think
it'd be a supervising role on that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with like Namco Bandai doing all the, the dirty work, which is what they did for Smash 4. So I think his new project is going to be at E3. I think that's going to be the big surprise game, because I don't think anybody really expects Sakurai to have like a new project right now. I think that's something that like people are expecting Pikmin. People are expecting a Smash Brothers port. People aren't really expecting a new Sakurai game. And they're even expecting Retro's thing. We were talking about how that'd be like a shame if Retro isn't there. We'd be worried about what Retro's up to. But Sakurai, like, I think he wants to work on something else, and I think he is working on something else. And my prediction for that is we're going to get a Kid Icarus Uprising sequel for Switch.
Okay. Yeah, did that game sell well? Do you remember what the sales were for that?
Yeah, it sold well on 3DS, yeah.
Okay, well then there you go. Yeah, why not? I really feel like one of the things that held that game back for me personally were the controls. Except for flying. I was okay with the flying controls. They didn't feel ideal, but they were okay. But on foot, it was really confusing for me to control that, and my hands would hurt. Yeah. So I think you could probably pull that off much better with the Joy-Con pointing functionality.
Or even like with the Pro Controller. Like, he could adjust everything with the buttons, and I think it would be really good. So Yeah.
Which way would you rather play it? Pointing or Pro Controller?
I don't know. I kind of liked the motion control. Like, I like the idea of motion control, I should say. We didn't have motion control in Kid Icarus for 3DS, but I always envisioned, like, if that game was going to get ported to Wii, playing it with, like, Wii Motion Plus.
Right.
And I think it would just work perfectly. So I don't know. I think I'd try both, and then whatever would work, I would put in. Also, that game had an amazing multiplayer mode.
Soundtrack?
Well, it's soundtrack too, yes. But the multiplayer mode in Kid Icarus Uprising is actually really, really good.
I need to try that.
It's really fun. And I think that'd also be great to have on Switch. To have that as like another sort of core multiplayer experience that you could play either while you're at home, online, because that was online. The 3DS game was online. You could play online with people. Or if you're just like out, you could play a local version of it on the go. I think it'd be neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I'd be down for it. You ever play Sin and Punishment 2 on the Wii? That has the controls that I wish Kid Icarus had.
That is one of the 10 best games on the Wii, in my opinion. Yeah, I love it.
Okay. It's pretty great, yeah. I am going to say that we're going to see something from Next Level Games, I think, maybe. I don't know if it would be the Luigi's Mansion game, though. There were rumors, right, about a new Luigi's Mansion game for the Switch. I don't think that Next Level Games would have had enough time to work on it, though. Because they did Federation Force somewhat recently, right? That came out, like, in the winter, right? Definitely hasn't been a year.
Has it? I don't know. I'm going to look this up right now. I thought that was, like, 2015, wasn't it?
No, it was 2016 for sure.
Was it like summer?
No, I think it was winter.
I'm looking. Oh no, August. It was August last year. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
August 19th.
So that's not enough time to have any kind of a Luigi's Mansion thing going, I don't think. So I would say Next Level Games potentially working on a new Mario Strikers, and I think that would please a lot of people. Ooh. So I can see some sort of... Because it's been a while since a Mario sports game was actually, like, really good. So I would be really happy to see that. I don't know if this is me just being hopeful, but I do think Next Level Games has probably had enough time to get like a build, like a demo build for Strikers Switch going.
Wasn't there?
I think that would be what.
Wasn't there a rumor like a long time ago? I don't think this is a rumor. I think this is something that actually like it's confirmed that they worked on this about Super Mario Spikers, which was like.
Oh God, yeah! And did you ever see it?
No, I never saw it, but I know that was something like they worked on. I remember hearing about it.
It was an idea that they had pitched to Nintendo, and Nintendo was like, "No, this isn't happening."
Really."
Yeah, because it has like the Mario characters body slamming each other in like realistic wrestling.
Yeah, I kind of want that, man.
No. They have like there's even test animations that leaked.
Really?
And it's like Mario in a unitard, and like Yoshi's like ground pounding or just like really slamming Peach or Waluigi. It just looks really disturbing. It looks really wrong, and I can totally see why Nintendo was like, "No, this isn't happening. No, you're not doing this." Which makes me very proud of Nintendo to be able to say, "No, this isn't right. This seems wrong." But I was actually also going to say, though, if there is a new Luigi's Mansion, I would be so incredibly happy if it was developed by the original team that made the GameCube game. So these rumors that are saying a new Luigi's Mansion for the Switch, they would line up more with the original EAD team working on it, and that would be pretty amazing. So I'd love to see Luigi's Mansion for the Switch developed by the original team. That, oh my God.
Yeah, I love that series. I would love to see another one. Yeah, I agree with you.
So, any more predictions?
This isn't a prediction as much as a hope. So my big, bold, crazy prediction was Kid Icarus. I think we're going to get a new Kid Icarus. My hope, and I mean this because I genuinely don't think we're going to get this, but I want it so badly, Animal Crossing. If there is one game that while I've been playing my Switch on the plane, while traveling to different events, or just like laying on my couch, that I've been like, I really want a new version of this game on the Switch. I think it would look amazing. It's Animal Crossing. And I don't know. I don't think it's time for it yet. I still think they want to sort of like...
What?
Yeah, I mean, I think they kind of want to ride out this last year with 3DS. And they're even like on the commercials for 2DS XL, they're showing Animal Crossing New Leaf. So I think if we get an Animal Crossing for Switch, it wouldn't be till like maybe late next year. And I think maybe it would even get announced at E3 next year. I don't think that's something that will be at this E3, but God, would I be happy if it was here. But I'm not expecting
pointing out, they also show Mario Kart in the 2DS XL. They show a lot of Nintendo franchises in that.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
But I will say this was going to be my final prediction as well, so this could be a good way to end it. I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see Animal Crossing Switch, and one of the reasons is it's been 5 years this November since that game wrapped up development, and yeah, there's translation work that they work on, because it didn't launch into the spring for the rest of the world, so the team does have to work on some of that. But still, it's been about 5 years this November since they wrapped up New Leaf development. They haven't really worked on much since then. They didn't do Amiibo Festival. I don't think they did Happy Home Designer. I think that was outsourced to another developer. And even if it wasn't, that didn't have a lot of heavy development into it. It was a lot of New Leaf assets, and so it was like the New Leaf engine. So this E3 is Animal Crossing time, and Nintendo really can't wait much longer, I don't think, because there was so much hype built for that game when it launched. That I really thought they were going to make one for the Wii U a couple of years later.
So I'm looking at this right now. I looked up the development groups within SPD, because remember they merged EA, EAD doesn't exist anymore. Now it's SPD or something.
Oh.
Yeah, so it doesn't exist anymore. There's the divisions changed. There was a changeover. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if they call it R&D 1 or anyway, regardless, this is kind of off topic. The team that made New Leaf then made Nintendo Land and made Splatoon, and then made Happy Home Designer. So that team is probably working on Splatoon 2 right now.
Well, but that's fake news right there, Roger, because...
Fake news? How is this fake news?
That's fake news because the truth of it is some of the lead team members for Animal Crossing worked on the original Splatoon, but it wasn't the entire team. It was some of the members from Animal Crossing New Leaf were working.
I mean, that makes sense considering I'm looking at this right now, and their release schedule was New Leaf was 2012 along with Nintendo Land. And then 2013 they did Animal Crossing Plaza and Wii Sports Club, so I guess they had a really heavy workload year that year. And then and then 2015 was Splatoon and Happy Home Designer. And it's 2017 now. The team hasn't worked on anything else. Maybe they could do Splatoon and Animal Crossing simultaneously.
Well,
maybe.
And Splatoon is a sequel. Splatoon 2, so I would be willing to bet that some of the lead people that were from the Animal Crossing team that did the original don't really have to be as hands-on with the sequel as the original, because you've already got a foundation built up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and Nintendo's teams, their lead members, their designers and directors and all that, they traditionally don't just focus on one project at once. They are working on many things at once, at least a couple games at once. Because really all it is you kind of get the ideas together and everything, and then you tell all the worker bees to basically spend 2 years of their life making the game.
Yeah.
And you just kind of oversee it. So I really do think this is Animal Crossing year, especially given the fact that we know there's a mobile app in development, and I would be willing to bet it will interact with the Switch game in some way. So those have to kind of release around the same time. I think it would be maybe holiday for Japan and then spring for the rest of the world for the Switch.
Cool.
Or they could just be like, hey, this is Animal Crossing, it's coming out, we're working on it, the release date is next year, or something like that, and they'll show it again at something or whatever. So, yeah.
Cool.
I know that a lot of people want it. Anytime I ask on Twitter or some social media, they're like, Animal Crossing!
That's my number. I want a new Animal Crossing more than I want a new Smash Brothers at this point, because I'm so starved for a new Animal Crossing. And I say that as somebody whose favorite franchise is Smash Brothers, so...
Yeah, it's time. It is time. And man, talk about, given how well it did on the 3DS, New Leaf was a huge breakout for the series.
Oh, yeah.
It's always done well, but New Leaf was just whoa, this is massive. So, and also it pleases both audiences, because I'm more of a home console Animal Crossing player to play it on a big TV, but this, obviously on Switch, you can do it either one. It's it's the perfect system for Animal Crossing, so let's see that, Nintendo. Let's get going.
Mm-hmm.
Roger, does that conclude our E3 2017 predictions?
I mean, I think so. We've been at it for an hour, and we covered pretty much everything. So to sum up, I said Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Final Fantasy 15, whatever Retro's game is, DLC for Mario Kart 8, whatever Sakurai's game is, which I'm assuming is going to be Kid Icarus, and then my hope is that we get Animal Crossing.
Okay, yeah. To sum up, I don't remember anything I've said.
I'll remind you. You said DLC for Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
You said whatever Next Level's working on, probably a Mario Strikers game.
Okay.
You said you think we are going to see Animal Crossing, which is very surprising to me. You also agreed that we're probably going to see Retro's game, but you think it's a Metroid game.
Potentially 2D.
Potentially 2D, which I am very excited about, but I know we had our little tiff about this. And you also mentioned Pikmin. You think Pikmin's going to be there too.
I think Pikmin, out of everything we've talked about here today, I think Pikmin is the most likely. I'll be shocked.
And we also both
agreed.
We also both agreed Smash Brothers is going to be there, but we're not sure what it's going to be. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I also did say I think Luigi's Mansion has a possibility because it's another one of those games. Like Pikmin, Luigi's Mansion is another one of those games that was like a big rumor. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that covers everything. That's a lot of stuff, especially.
That's a lot of. We just basically predicted literally everything.
Yeah, because we have all that's potentially in development, plus all the stuff we know about like Mario Odyssey and Xenoblade. This is going to be a good E3 for them. I have a pretty good feeling about this year.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to be surprised in good ways. I know that. I really hope there is more than what we already know or more than that's just been rumored, you know? But I think this is going to be a strong E3 for Nintendo, and I think it does have to be because we've got a lot of hype for the Switch. Right now, there are games announced, but there is sort of a, there's a little, I think it's a little thin, and we do need to get a lot more on the horizon, so I think E3 is the time to do that. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's a good time to be a Nintendo fan.
It is. That it is. So Roger, thank you very much for chatting with me.
Anytime.
I know that people probably know this already, but where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me at RogersBase on YouTube, on Twitter, and Instagram. My main YouTube primarily consists of anime reviews and Nintendo Switch content. That's literally it. And I think there's like 4 anime videos to every one Nintendo video. But if you like my gaming videos, you can always subscribe to my secondary channel, which is Game and Vlog, where I focus on doing gameplay. I'm going to have some new Mario Kart videos going up there kind of soon. And I just recorded a Roger Rambles Live, which I know Josh is a huge fan of. So you can go check that out on Game and Vlog.
I actually yelled at you the other night in one of your videos. I was like, where's the next Roger Rambles? And you're like, I posted it 2 days ago, and I looked, and I was like, oh. So I did crunches while listening to
it. Was long, too. That one was like an hour and a half, 2 hours. It was a very long one.
It was. Yeah. Yep. Let's go subscribe to Roger's second channel.
Check and my first channel, of course.
And it's his first
because that's like the discussions that we do for my channel, posted on my main channel. But like for gameplay stuff, just due to like claims and all that jazz, I want to put that on the second channel. So that's why I have Game and Vlog.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. Roger, I'm looking forward to E3. It's going to be great.
Me too.
And hopefully no disappointments.
I feel like it's very difficult to have a disappointing year this year. I feel like even if they announce 3 of the things we talked about, plus all the stuff they already have, I think we're golden. Like they could just do all the things we know about, plus Smash Brothers, Pikmin, and Retro's game, and that's great.
They could just do Animal Crossing, and
I mean, honestly, yeah, they could.
I remember reacting with you when we saw Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, and I remember that 3 seconds of pure joy before I realized, wait a minute, something's wrong here.
That video is so sad, man.
So I'm looking forward to being able to react to an actual Animal Crossing game.
That'd be fun.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.